Yesterday, Lexus premiered their all-new concept, the LF-Z Electrified. And while I wasn't expecting a production-ready car, I was hoping to hear more about their first mass-produced battery electric vehicle. Instead, Lexus seemingly gave us more questions than answers, and today we'll try to find out why Lexus is in no rush to produce battery electric vehicles. Before I take a bite out of why Lexus is not making EVs anytime soon, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe, because I will be updating you guys on the Lexus end of things and how they progress, not only this year, but in years to come as well. And to understand how Lexus specifically works, you kind of have to go back to 1989 with their original Covenant, the Lexus Covenant. And there's a couple things in it that you can justify all their decisions off of. And one of those is to produce the absolute finest cars in the world. The LS400 back in 1989 was definitely evidence of that. The LC500 in current day is definitely evidence of that. And we cannot forget the LFA. When they decide to do something new and a new segment for the first time, like the LFA or the LS, it is game-changing. It's arguably the best in its segment, or it's something that will last the test of time. And I think that's what they want to do with battery electric vehicles. They don't want to go too early. I think they still see it as a very new technology, and there's a lot of things that they want to do to electric vehicles to make it special, to make it right for Lexus. And another thing from the Lexus Covenant is that they want to do it right from the start. And they believe they can, and they believe they will. And to do electric cars right from the start is, well, you can say it's already started for many manufacturers. But again, Lexus wants to put their own spin on it, to find their own niche, and to make their cars stand out from the rest of the electric cars. Because, guys, as we get more and more electrified, the uniqueness of cars is going to be smaller. The differences between cars will be smaller. No longer do we have V10s singing to 9,000 RPM like the Yamaha V10 and the Lexus LFA. And we're not going to have V8s like the 2UR GSC that's now being put back in the IS500. We're not going to have that in the long future, sadly. All we're going to have is, quietly humming EVs that are super fast, very efficient, but the soul and the character is something different altogether. So that's why I think Lexus really wants to put their own spin on it. And what will they do? Well, in the teaser trailer yesterday for the LF-Z, they didn't really talk about it, but they did some things on the interior that really stuck out to me. One, the minimalist interior that we've never seen on a Lexus before. Usually we're treated with a very posh, very padded, cozy sedan or SUV. Instead, we got these very minimalistic interior, and they call it Tizuna, which is referring to the relationship with a man and a horse through the rain. So that's interesting. They're also going to be doing steering by wire, which will allow the car to respond to the driver's inputs a little bit better than the traditional rack and pinion or electric powered assist motors. And another thing they want to do to differentiate themselves, which a lot of people aren't doing right now, Tesla, for example, got to throw them because they're the leader in EVs right now, fully battery electric vehicles, is torque vectoring. We see torque vectoring not in Teslas yet. They kind of manipulate their braking system to help the vehicle turn, which works. It works, but Lexus wants to do it a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more pure, less rudimentary. So we see it in a few different options here. We know Rivian is going to have 4 motors per axle, or 4 motors per vehicle, so 2 per axle. Lexus is going to be doing something different with Direct 4. It's going to be a torque vectoring, split torque device, rear motor and front motor. So they're going to have torque vectoring of some degree on both axles with 2 motors. And that'll allow the car to handle and brake and corner a whole lot better than what we see potentially even in their vehicles today. And another thing that I really liked is that they really want to make the experience quiet if you want it. So there's a snippet in the video where they show the driver adjusting the noise cancellation in the vehicle. I just thought that was phenomenal, and I would love to have a feature like that. So I thought that was pretty neat, and I think that's something Toyota, more specifically Lexus, wants to do in their vehicles as soon as possible. And going back to Toyota and Lexus and their general philosophy, not the Covenant, but they're a business to make money. Last year, they posted 270 billion US dollars in net revenue. That's mind-blowing. And they know that their internal combustion engines and their hybrids are extremely profitable, and battery electric vehicles require 20 times more battery per vehicle than a hybrid, for example. So for them, they're like, well, we can make a bunch of hybrids or a very small amount of battery electric vehicles, and the profit margins are massive over here on the hybrids and not so massive over here. And they would rather cater to the 98% of the market who aren't buying EVs than the 2% of the market that are buying EVs. So from a business standpoint, that's where you have to see through Toyota's and Lexus lenses, and they're not super adamant about having an EV right here, right now, because they're making so much money, and going that route wouldn't really help their profit margins. Once a battery technology gets to a point where they're making just about the same amount of money on an internal combustion engine car as an electric car, they're going to go in hard. You got to realize they're about making money, not about being first to the game. They want to do it right, and they want to do it their way. And it could be that Lexus is waiting for solid state batteries to be ready, because that should, in theory, drop the prices of batteries and improve the distance, the charging time, and the safety. So we'll see. Maybe they're just waiting for their solid state batteries to be here, and they don't have to compromise nearly as much. We'll wait and see. But the concept, however, was not shown with a solid state battery. And we don't have a lot of information, or at least I didn't think we had a whole lot of information on the LF-Z Electrified. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Australian press release, because as far as I'm concerned, I think they had some more telling information here than the American press release. So they talk a little bit about Direct 4, they talk about some of the technologies in here, but they actually gave us some details not only on the battery, but the electric motors in this concept car. So it says advanced lithium-ion battery technology. The LF-Z Electrified realizes maximum 600 kilometers of cruising range. That's WLTP on a single charge. When you convert that to miles and the EPA, that's around 330 to 350 miles or so, which is good. Definitely would be close to class leading, if not class leading, if that vehicle were available today. But this vehicle might not come until 2025 or some fully electric vehicle from Lexus. This is just a concept, mind you. Now, they said the combined power is 400 kilowatts, which is, I think, 536 horsepower, if I remember right, and 700 newton meters of torque, which is just over 500 pound-feet of torque. And it says 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3 seconds, which is interesting because that's 62 miles an hour. And yesterday, Kia just announced their first ever electric vehicle, which they said 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.5 seconds. But that vehicle seemingly has more horsepower and torque than this Lexus concept. So maybe Lexus has some secret sauce under the hood, underneath the vehicle body per se, that allows this vehicle to accelerate faster than other vehicles with a similar spec. So keep in mind, this is just a concept. And more on that battery, they say by orienting the 90 kilowatt hour battery. So we have a 90 kilowatt hour battery achieving the 600 kilometers of cruising range, which is around like 330 miles in the EPA. So that's not that long of a distance with such a large battery. But you got to keep in mind a 90 kilowatt hour battery is not the usable aspects of the battery, I don't believe. So they'd probably tailor it down to somewhere in the 80s or upper 70s for the usable battery for longevity. Remember, Lexus is all about longevity, build quality, reliability, and them having oversized batteries is definitely a part. I could see being a part of their future with battery electric vehicles to sustain a longer lasting battery. Now, they say by 2025, Lexus will introduce 20 new vehicle models, including battery electric vehicles, plug-in hybrid vehicles, hybrid electric vehicles, and other electric vehicles and develop a diverse product lineup. I'm not going to take a stab at 20 new electric vehicles, which I definitely could. Maybe I'll do that in a different video. But what I thought was interesting is that there's no mention of hydrogen fuel cell, which makes sense because really Toyota Mirai is more than enough to have a hydrogen vehicle at this point in time. So the other electric vehicles is what stood out to me. They want to have some unique offerings to expand their lineup, and other electric vehicles, it's not battery electric or plug-in, what are we talking about here? It's possible they might be teaming up with Yamaha or some other small mobility company to produce Lexus scooters or Lexus hoverboards. They came out with that a few years ago as a concept. They might be coming out with some sort of mass mobility or accessory mobility to the vehicle. Maybe they're even talking about electric VTOL, which is electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. So essentially a drone that takes people around. And I don't know, that's one of the things that kind of left me hanging. And another thing that they wanted to do with this announcement, and I think it really got left under the dust here, there's a lot we could talk about with it, is the new Shimoyama Technical Center, which will be the new headquarters. It sounds like the new, I guess, performance testing headquarters and design headquarters for a lot of Lexus vehicles. And what I think is genius about it is they have this new test course, and they have literally the designers and engineers on site to more quickly be able to modify and fix the issues with their cars that they're seeing on this test track. So that makes a lot of sense to me, that they build their own test track, they build their own design and engineering studio right there at the track, so they can pump out cars faster and with better quality that are better refined. So there's a ton of information on it, like really good details. As I zoom down here, I still haven't read it all myself because it's a lot with pretty cool things. Around 10 different test courses are now under construction, include a high-speed evaluation loop and a test course that recreates specific road surfaces from around the world. And of course, they're going to be testing autonomy here as well. And lastly, Koji Sato, president of Lexus, he, at the end of his video, not only said, we have a lot more models coming in the near future, he was in front of 4 draped vehicles. I'm going to take a stab at what they are. I did in the live stream, and I think I'm right. So the one on the far left is the RX. That will be coming, I believe, next year, in the fall of 2022. The next vehicle, I believe, would be the refreshed ES. Some people are saying the LS. They just refreshed that vehicle, so I don't think that would be coming in the near future. And we're expecting a refreshed ES this year, actually, later this year, if everything is on track as it should be. Then next to that, on the other side of Sato-san, was what I believe is the UX. The giveaway to me was the design of the hood that's curved around that vehicle, and it's the smallest one, which the UX is pretty much the smallest vehicle in the Lexus lineup. And the one to the right of that would be the new NX, which will be unveiled this year. Koji Sato also said that there are 2 new product unveils coming this year. The NX being one of them, and the other one must be the LX. It's the only thing I can think of. And a while back, we had a product release from a dealer in, I think it was the Philippines, and they said that the NX was coming this year, like July, September timeframe, and then the LX would be coming, redesigned the LX 600 would be coming in December. Of course, the LX wouldn't be behind Koji Sato because that would stick out like a sore thumb. It's by far the largest vehicle in the Lexus lineup. And yeah, people would know what it was, and it would probably get more press than the actual electrified vehicle on the new LX. So the LX will be hybridized eventually. All of their vehicles will be hybridized by 2025. They'll have at least a hybrid, if not a plug-in hybrid or fully battery electric version of all of their vehicles. Guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. I cannot wait to discuss all this stuff with you down in the comments below. This really wasn't scripted or anything. This is all pretty much fresh off of me thinking about the reveal yesterday and how I just was looking for more answers. And if you guys were just a smidge let down like I was, definitely let me know in the comments. If you feel like Lexus did what or are doing what they need to do to be relevant in today's luxury landscape. I mean, their sales would say that they are, but their products, as of right now, seem a little lackluster. Hopefully that all changes this year with those 2 new product announcements. In the next 5 years, the brand is going to look hugely different from what it is now, and Lexus has never been the first one to do anything really, other than maybe the RX 400h was the first electrified crossover in the luxury landscape, and then the RX 300 was the first luxury crossover. So they have that to them, and they have other things as well, but those are the ones that are standing out. So guys, I'll leave it there. Can't wait to see you in the comments. If you made this far in the video, smash the like button, subscribe for more Japanese auto news, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. Peace out.